Next one is simplicity versus complexity. How many materials should there be in a perfume? I sort of answered this a little bit yesterday.
The less the chances of...
The less you have, the more chances that you have a problem because of quality of individual components. I think that's... Sorry, black one's given out. I'm back to blue. This is a picture actually from Practices and Principles by Robert Kalkin and Stephen Jelinek, a book which is quite good. So usually your heart of your perfume will be something like that, yeah? Very few materials. The heart of every perfume ideally should be only very few materials. But you'll have detail in there with other materials, which give it a smoother effect. But there's something else here that comes into play, is that depending on the end customer,
doesn't it matter what's your cost price kind of thing? Don't you think of how much the cost price should be and then work it down?
no, I never think of price first.
That's the end of the day, that's what matters, right?
No. What matters... Okay, this is very much my approach, yeah. And I know your approach actually is actually more common. My approach is that I make perfume for myself, yeah, and then I'll try to make it suitable for the customer, yeah. Because that way, when I get to the end of my life, I was doing what I wanted to do, yeah. Not trying to please everybody else, yeah, that wants everything for free, yeah. because it's never cheap enough. It's never cheap enough, yeah. When I worked with Pico in 1971, our average raw material cost of a compound was 65 to 70 pounds a kilo, yeah. So that's about $100. How much do people want a fine perfume for now? 40 years on? $50. Yeah? That's about 30 pounds? Yeah, about $50. Half the price that we were paying, yeah? And then we were using as much as 5% of floral absolutes in the compound. So you'd have 5% of jasmine absolute. Nowadays, you won't find in a modern perfume more than 1%. Yeah. And if you remember that calculation, it's not really justified by the costing. Yeah. Those low prices for the compound are not justified by the costing.
So what's happened is there's too much crap in the perfume world with marketing, advertising, and they could be using it on good quality ingredients.
They could be using, yeah, good quality ingredients.
And spending just as much money, but less on the
Yeah.
If you have good quality ingredients and a great product, you can't market it and sell it, and
That's the thinking, yeah.
you can't take it away.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is my personal thing. I think one of the worst evils that's ever happened to mankind almost is the MBA. Yeah? Because the MBA teaches everybody to use the same formulas, the same method of calculation, the 80-20 rule to filter out all materials that are not interesting, yeah? And it comes down to bottom line. Do people buy perfume because of how much profit you make? No, they buy it because of the image they want to portray, because they love the smell, yeah? Because they love perfume. But we're trying to make it to cost. And I think it's very, very sad. So, you know, So I think like the MBA has brought in this universal thinking about how people should do business, and it's very sad. Yeah, create perfumes you want to create. Yeah. So then you're doing what you want to do, not what everybody else wants you to do, because you can never please anybody. Yeah. You can only ever please yourself, really. Yeah. You can't ever keep. It's hard enough to keep your wife happy, let alone customers. Yeah.
I guess it's like that in the coffee world with coffee prices
Yeah.
going up hugely. My philosophy was I'm not going to change my blend or my quality of beans, because at the end of the day, if I start with this really good product and end with this really good product, I'm going to have consistency. Whereas a lot of people have gone to Brazil and got cheaper beans, but they've lost the layers, they've lost the complexity, and they've lost all that
Yes.
feeling. And
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, hang on, everyone tastes the same right now. So
Yeah.
it's just a mono coffee, whereas my coffee's just always stayed at that high level.
Yeah.
I won't ever change my blend.
Well done.
And it's cost me, I'm not making as much money, but I'm really happy
Yeah.
about it, and my customers are really happy.
Happy. Yeah.
It's actually quite a difficult thing because the price of guar gum has gone skyrocketed.
Yes.
So now there's a mad rush to try and find alternatives, because now you've got product that's out there that people are paying for at a certain price.
Price.
Now guar gum's gone
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So what do?
Yeah.
You have to find an alternative, otherwise you can't really.
You can't. You can have no. Do you end up with no product? And you see, that's something else that's happened with the world because of, not because of just the internet, but I call it the McDonald's culture. Is that if you buy a hamburger in London, you expect it to taste the same as if you buy it in Tokyo. Yeah. And that leads to, these problems. You get supply problems, you get all sorts of problems. If people were happy to buy a different type of McDonald's in Tokyo or Hong Kong than the UK, and accept that there should be like a slight difference, then I think it would be a much happier world in a sense. What I was going to say was that younger people tend to prefer very simple to understand perfumes, like a cartoon of a perfume. So when you're making a perfume for young people, the younger the audience, the more simple it needs to be to understand. So this fruity, dairy, vanilla thing I said for kids, yeah? They understand that, yeah? It's easy, they smell it, yeah?
Kids on these days.
Sorry?
It's for kids on these days.
Yes.
Not the kids on the 1940s.
No, I don't, well, the kids from the 1940s now are not kids anymore. But I liken it to like wine.
I mean, in 1940, were perfumes for kids were like that also.
I think also very simple, yeah. I think children want something very simple to understand, like a cartoon, yeah. And I liken it to white wine. I'm not a wine drinker. I like white wine. My father is a wine drinker. He likes red wine. Because white wine has this like simplicity generally, and red wine has this complexity. Yeah? With music, it's the same as a band of 4 people compared to an orchestra. So more popular nowadays are the bands. The orchestras appeal to the older customers. So Shalimar is an orchestra, yeah? Miss Dior is an orchestra. Issey Miyake is a cartoon. Yeah. So depending on where your age group is, yeah, the sophistication of your market is how complex your perfume should be. Yeah? But there's no minimum and there's no maximum. I think the longest perfume formula I ever did was about 300 ingredients, and it just got silly. Yeah. I say that, but we have the PWX factor, which has 700 ingredients, which we'll smell later. And I explain why we have that.